Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett. Here. Mrs. Brown Knight.
Here.
Ms. Gelbaugh.
Hi.
Dr.
Here. Sorry.
I am here.
Hi to you.
Dr. Lewis.
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
Mrs. Rankin.
Here.
Mr. York.
Here.
All right. All right, tonight we're going to start off with a little special presentation. We're going to swear in one of our newest officers. Chief, do you want to give the background on this?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I am presenting to you David Christopher Roberts for consideration of appointment as a patrol officer with the police division. David is here tonight with his wife Lacey, his children Lucas, Caitlin, and Lincoln, and all four of his grandparents. So he's well represented. Plus, he's got a new daughter coming here in just any day now. Any day between now and the 22nd of February. So after a very thorough hiring process, David was selected over a number of other well-qualified candidates. He comes to us from the Forest Park Police Department, where he has served for the last 6 years. He served our country for 7 years in the Ohio Air National Guard and rose to the rank of Staff Sergeant. He attended Mariemont Elementary and grade school. He is a 2009 graduate of Little Miami High School. He earned a Bachelor's of Business Administration at the University of Cincinnati in 2015. Graduated from the Ohio State Highway Patrol Academy in June of 2017. I am very excited to have David and his wife and children become a part of our Mariemont police family. At this time, I will recommend that David Roberts be confirmed by council to fill the open position of patrol officer. I'll turn it back to you, Mayor, for a council vote and the swearing in of Officer Roberts. But you get the council vote first, sir.
Yeah, right.
Get the council vote first.
Somebody makes a motion in a second.
I move that we hire
David Roberts.
Swearman.
I second.
Mr. Bartlett. Aye.
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 Gelbaugh.
Aye and welcome.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay.
Swearing in, Mayor.
Rusty's in the
Raise your
club.
right hand, please. Repeat after me. I, David Christopher Roberts, do swear to uphold the Constitution and laws of the United States.
Can you give it to him to read?
I, David Roberts, do swear to uphold the Constitution
The laws of the United States, the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio,
the Constitution and laws in the state of Ohio,
and the ordinances of the village of Mariemont,
and the ordinances of the village of Mariemont,
and to perform the duties of police officer to the best of my ability, so help me God.
and perform the duties of a police officer to the best of my ability, so help me God.
All right, very nice, very nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome, David.
Yeah, welcome.
Take a 5-minute recess, sir.
We'll recess for 5 minutes.
I just sent you two.
Minutes. All right, everybody had a chance to review the minutes. Any questions regarding the minutes?
Rod, can you close the door, please?
Where's that? Is that over there?
All right, I'm not hearing anything about the minutes. We'll go with the minutes. All right, a motion and a second to accept.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Bartlett. Ms. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Ms. Gelbaugh.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, we'll accept those minutes. All right, in communications, we don't have
With one.
just Rod's. Okay, Rod, do you have any comments you wish to make about the report?
You to go to
Yeah,
the,
Rod, you gotta name, rank, and serial number.
So for the month of December, I mentioned it was a little slow, that we had a downturn in the rental inspections. And I think in general, people got into the holiday mood and didn't submit many permits. But Councilman York had a meeting with the rental people in January, so we're hoping that we get some additional uptick in rental inspections.
Where are we in the numbers on those rental inspections?
We're about 64 since August 1st.
And we're shooting to do something like 140 annually?
About 130 to 140, yeah, so we're roughly on track for the
Track.
first 6 months, but it's slowing down.
Well, it's time of year and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
Sometimes the low-hanging fruit are a little bit easier. to
Yeah,
get
they are.
through.
yeah.
More challenging, the deeper you go.
All right.
But we had 7 or 8 attendees in
Yep.
the meeting last week, and those 7 or 8 are actually some of the more compliant and lean forward landlords.
I mean, are we going to have some kind of a strategy, I mean, to get the stragglers to sort of, gentle reminders that
Yeah,
this something?
everybody got a reminder 2 months after we started, so around the 1st of October, I sent a note out to all the landlords on record. And I'll probably send one out in another couple months just to tell them, hey, this is what you still need to do for the balance
Right,
this year.
okay, yeah, that sounds reasonable. That sounds good. All right, any questions? Everybody good with? Thank you, Rod.
Good job up there.
Thank you, Rod. All right, that looks like all we have in communications, right? Yes. All right, permission to address council. Sir?
Hello,
Hello, state your name, please.
I'm Don Slavak at 3717 Homewood Road, and it was probably a month or so ago, the leaf collection, and you have a wonderful village employee, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, big jovial guy with the village, like 14 years, but he was doing all the leaves by himself on our road. So I got out there and helped him some, and it was all good. Jim Donnelly, my other neighbor, helped him some, it was all good. But I realized at the end of the day, I smelled like diesel fumes. And what I realized after I looked back at the machine, there's like a exhaust vent that goes up, it comes down, and it points right at the poor people that are raking the leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a horrible design. So I was asking the guy, and he's like, yeah, he goes, I don't know why they don't like point it straight up, at least because then the heat will rise and it won't be right at the poor young adults that are normally doing the raking. So I guess what I asked council in the off years to sort of think about, there's a way we could do a better design, like for the contractors that are doing the raking, to not have to breathe that stuff in, because I can't imagine doing it for like an all day or even like all week or certainly an all leaf collection season.
Yeah, it could. I mean, the vacuum thing, that swings side to side occasionally, so it's not always just on.
No, it's only half of the time.
Yeah, it's only half the time.
So the half of the time that it's on,
Right.
it is literally pointing right
Right.
at your face,
Right.
and it's probably like about this high,
Yeah.
and it's probably about like 10. And I had a picture which I lost. It's probably like about 10 feet in front of where you are raking.
Yeah, No, I know the design. I've done some raking on that myself.
Okay.
Yeah, there's probably a way that we could, it doesn't have to point that way. It could point straight up.
Exactly.
It can be reducted in a way.
Exactly.
Do you know, was this the older machine or the newer machine?
To be honest, I don't
You
know.
don't remember?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to Mr. Scherpenberg about it, and we'll see if we can't get that, reoriented to.
Yeah,
shoot up
for next
straight.
season,
Yeah.
but because it would be, it's just a really bad
Yeah.
thing for the poor bastards that are trying to rake the leaves.
No, some of them, they like that work.
Well, they're poor bastards when they're
I
breathing.
enjoyed
Anyone
it.
that's breathing in diesel fumes
Yeah.
for 8 hours, I think falls
Oh,
into
yeah,
that.
it's the smell of napalm in the morning, all that good stuff.
Thank you for calling that to our attention and for
Yeah.
helping out our guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
but I know, thank you, because I know a
Very
couple of other
much.
residents have volunteered to help like that, and we really do appreciate
Oh,
that. Yeah. Because
Okay.
you can really hit a crunch time with the leaves.
Oh, yeah, no, and we're all glad that they get sucked up.
Yeah, better than bagging them up, huh?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you, Mr. Slavic.
Yeah.
One
Oh, we have
other-
something else.
One of
Quick point.
Sure.
Because I'm going to still be well within 3 minutes.
Sure.
Council, and this is like good work. About 2017, we had a big flooding problem on Homewood,
Yes.
if you remember. And Kelly, I remember we even talked about it, and I think Rob too, who was here. And that was put a big new drain cover in.
Mm-hmm.
We've had big rain since then, and it's been completely fixed.
Excellent.
So that's just the old fallback that I meant to tell you guys.
Oh,
that I
good.
never got around to.
Good.
Yeah, completely fixed.
Oh, great. Oh,
We're
it's
all
good to
really
hear.
happy, 'cause
Good to hear.
I don't have lakefront property anymore.
You're rethinking it?
No, not in Mariemont. Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don, thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Is that a worker, how significant a safety issue is that?
Well, I mean,
Is that an
It's-
OSHA
it's-
issue?
Well, I
it's
think
not
we better
good.
look
It's
at
not
it.
good to
Yeah.
continuously breathe it in, but I mean, you're not standing there
It's a
continuously.
potential
You're-
claim, no
You're moving
question about
around.
it.
No, so it is, okay.
Yeah.
Potential claims.
Yeah,
It could- yeah.
Well, we just need to fix it.
yeah, we need to
Doesn't
fix
seem
it.
that
That's
hard.
just- Nobody wants to smell that.
Yeah, nobody wants to smell that.
Yeah. It's not good for
Oh, there's.
Should
some-
that be on the task list?
them. Should we add it to the test list in there?
To the what?
The test list?
Now the test list.
No, just to,
Sure, John can
We'll
figure
put it
out.
on the other.
I'm
tab.
sure, I will have a conversation,
Done?
all right, motion, any question regarding the bills?
I have one question. I
Oh,
know
here.
we've probably answered this a number of times,
Sure.
but just to reiterate for my question, other people that might be watching that have the same question. The 315691 to Cloninger's group for the study. Tell me again the
Yes.
process that we have for getting reimbursed for that? Or is that a Chris question?
Well, we of course, we talked about that when we were sort of committing to doing the study and who was going to pay.
And I'm just trying to
as it
refresh
stands,
that.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Sure.
as it stands right now, the leftover money from Murray Path has paid a substantial part of it.
Okay,
I forget what the balance is. Is it 12,000, 12,500, something like that?
okay.
And it's my understanding that, I mean, the Crown Group will be reimbursing us for that.
Okay.
Yes.
But that would be Chris that would probably actually do the process, or? I can ask.
Chris
We-
has been involved. I mean, he
He's been
knows about all
involved, and
this.
we will be invoiced, and then I'm sure there'll be some communication, with Crown as to exactly the mechanics of how it's going to work, sort of like we did with Murray Path.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know if we had a particular point person that was watching that.
I would say it would be Chris, or it would be Matt Ayer. I mean,
Randy.
Yeah, or Randy, possibly. Yeah,
I'll check with Chris.
yeah, he answers. Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Anything else? It's kind of funny you bring that up, because the 3156 that's on here, apparently that was some kind of an extra.
Oh,
Well, you see it listed there, about halfway down the page. The multi-use alignment study,
yeah,
$3,156.91.
yeah.
That was something that was added to the study or something, and I'm just assuming that will also be added to the final invoice when we settle up with Crown.
Okay,
I mean, apparently we're fronting the money now, but I mean, we're keeping track.
And the surplus money from the previous Murray Path has already been deposited. That's what you were referencing earlier.
Yeah, that's already right. All right. Any other questions? We all good? Susan? You good? All right, a motion and a second then to let's pay some bills.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Gelbaugh?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right. Okay, it looks like we've got 5 or so, I think it is, committee reports.
Like you're first up there.
Randy, I
Mr.
think you're
York.
first up. Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it?
I can read it.
Okay.
Since if there's mistakes in it, I'll read right through it.
Okay.
All right, so this is the Health and Recreation Committee meeting. The Health and Recreation Committee met on Friday, January 13th at 4 p.m. at the Mariemont Pool, and then reconvened in council chambers at 5 p.m. Present at the meeting were Health and Recreation Committee members Randy York and Leah Galbaugh and Mayor Bill Brown. Also in attendance were Mariemont Swimming Pool Board President Mandy Rohal and Tax Administrator Chuck Barlow. The purpose of the committee meeting was to assess the maintenance and rehabilitation priorities for the pool in advance of the 2023 season. The committee came up with a list of 18 action items. The committee will coordinate with the service department to determine which task may be completed internally versus externally and assign a projected cost to each. The committee will then prioritize this list based upon the needs and projected return. The committee accepted a proposal to open up pool membership for the 2023 season to non-residents of the Village of Mariemont who reside in the Mariemont School District. Since Mariemont tax dollars underwrite the operations and capital improvements of the pool, a premium will be charged to non-residents. The proposed rates for 2023 were as follows, and those will be posted. The committee did not review rates from the Mariemont Tennis Association. The MTA is waiting to confirm the timing of the tennis court refinishing and the anticipated disruption before establishing rates. The committee recommends, consistent with the recommendation of the Mariemont Tennis Association, that the $25 per family capital improvement fee remain for 2023. The committee reviews rates and proposed by the South 80 Trails Garden and Park Advisory Board for garden plots for 2023. The committee accepted those proposed rates for 2023. The committee further recommends that the village solicitor prepare the necessary legislation. Respectfully committed, Randy York, Chair, Leah Galvin, member. Susan was not
Okay.
able to respectfully
Committed.
Committed.
Yeah,
Committed.
We're gonna be committed, but,
Freudian slip
Okay, I
there.
wasn't dealing,
all right. You've heard the report. Do I have a motion and a second to accept the report?
so moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion on this thing? It's fairly straightforward. I do have one question though, Randy.
Sure.
On the $25 capital improvement fee that is assessed to, I'm assuming to all members?
Now, it is if you are doing, if it really comes down to, can you reserve the courts? So if you're just walking on and playing, that's fine, but Saturday morning, the men can reserve the courts, so the men would pay a $25 capital improvement. It's per family, and it's one per family. So on Wednesday night, the men do a hit clinic where the courts can be reserved. So those people who are participating in that will pay the $25 per family capital improvement fee. There's a lot of lessons that go on there between our couple of pros, and those people who participate will pay for membership and a capital improvement fee. Last year, we raised $820. And it was matched. And you got that email this week about replacing the sign.
Right.
That's where that came from.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question, is what was the total raise on that fee? And just so that I'm clear, I mean, you don't pay the $25 every time you want to reserve a court.
No.
This is a
It's an
one-time-
annual,
Oh,
just
yeah,
like there's
okay.
an annual, $60 for, whatever. It's $25. Again, it is, are you taking a lesson?
Mm-hmm.
Are you in a clinic? Are you reserving the courts? If you're walking on, if we've got a member that that joins and just walks on, they don't pay the capital improvement fee.
Well, my only thought on that is that, you know, given the enormity of the capital improvements that are required over there, I mean, $25, how do we get on that amount?
We just thought that we didn't want to be too aggressive because there's a lot of families that do all that. On the other hand, we were not collecting anything for the lessons that were going on there. They were essentially free. I think it was only 2 years ago that we made them become members. I don't know if we even made them become members that. So last year, the tennis courts netted about $4,500. That's what they made after all expenses. Now, that wasn't putting any money away for capital improvements. Now, you and I have had our conversations with with Mariemont schools, and you know, we hope that with their contribution and what we've got committed, that can kickstart us moving forward, because I think we reviewed that in today's dollars, it's about, let's say, $25,000 a year that you need to put aside to maintain those tennis courts. The MTA is going to do a volunteer Saturday where they're going to get out there and clean up the courts and do some gardening and so forth. I did want to talk to John about opening up the bathrooms earlier, because right now we don't open them till May 1st.
No,
I'd like to open them up May 1st, April 1st, if not sooner, because I don't know what is the liability, what's the downside if they freeze and burst? What's really,
Well, you have to go over there and.
you got to go there and fix it,
Unburst.
but right now, for most of the kids this high school season, there's not bathrooms there.
No, that's not
So,
They bring the portalets. They do have.
but those are
They're not
silly.
nice,
That's
I get you,
embarrassing.
But they do. I'm just.
They do that, and I want to get away from that. And when I've spoken, I spoke extensively to Kevin Taylor, who's the president, and he went through all of this. It's an open structure, so it's not like at the bell tower
No,
where
no,
you
no,
can
yeah.
put. So we know that there's no option.
Right,
You know,
right.
you're not gonna weatherize those. There's nothing you can do really to weatherize them. So, you know, since it's open, you know, can we take the risk, and what's the downside of opening them up on April 1st? Because it really takes a hard freeze to hurt them.
Do something, right. Well, all right, that's our option. I'm just, you know, it just seems like $25 is a lot.
That was actually gonna be my question too, just given the outlay, but you answered it. The other question I had for you is, how are you planning to communicate the opening of the pool to the district? Is that gonna go through the schools, or?
Similar to what they've done in the past, and I think we're going to do flyers again.
We're going to do flyers. We're also, the high school, all of the schools have a monthly
Right.
email.
That's
We're going to make sure that that's on there. We're putting up flyers for hiring kids right now at the high school. So those will be up. So we're just going to kind of inundate the Fairfax, Terrace Park, Mariemont, Columbia Township with flyers saying, you know, we're opening it up to everyone in the school district. I did talk to Eli Wendler today about software to track kids that are in the school district. It's too expensive. It's $4,500 for the software. So
that
what
takes
we're gonna have to
yeah.
do is they're gonna give, and I will get some other people to help me with this. We're gonna get volunteers to just check off people and make sure that they're in Columbia Township, Fairfax, and that way, because it's just too expensive to try and do software to track people who don't live in Mariemont.
And then, so, I don't remember the exact number of members last year with the pool, but do you know about at what % capacity we've been operating?
We
just
want
with
to try
Mariemont
and
residents?
add 54 new members. So that's gonna.
Family members?
Yeah, well, it would be nice to have 54 family. What we were thinking is that if we just limited to families, then like, I wouldn't necessarily be able to join because Avery's the only one that wants to join. There's just different parts of it, and I don't want to try and limit a single person who lives in Terrace Park and wants to come swim laps. So we're just going to open it up to everybody, see what we can do. I seriously doubt we will hit capacity this summer. I mean, it would have to be we would have to be inundated with new members, and at some point, when we get close, we're just gonna have to shut it and just
Yeah,
say
just
we're
put a
at our
limit on it.
peak and this is what it
Have
is.
and I don't know, have we determined, I know, we're at about 1/3
Yes.
of what we used to be.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of headroom.
Yeah.
The chart
Yeah.
sent, because we had a chart.
Yeah,
Right, right,
Rob
right.
had sent a chart, we are way below what we could be, so we would have to add, like,
3X, yeah, because we're about
But
1/3
again,
what it used to be.
yeah.
so
yeah,
that's
we're fine, I think, as far as adding members. We're not gonna, unless I'm completely wrong. You know, I did
We might
talk
be pleasantly
to-
surprised.
Well, the thing, it might be, because I did call Cincinnati Sports Club, and you can no longer just buy a summer pool membership there. So you have to do the whole membership. So that might actually be one of those things that helps us. Because you're not gonna be
Oh,
able to do
it's
it anymore. Because you used to be able to do that. You could just do the summer outdoor pool. They're not doing it anymore.
That's surprising that they wouldn't take advantage of that opportunity.
I'm not sure if they're getting too many members in the summer, you know, the members that are
Yeah.
there all year, if there's an issue. I didn't ask, I wasn't, you know, I
Plus,
just
if you
wanted to know.
quit, you know, you have to wait, and there's a premium to come back.
Yep.
But speaking as someone who lived in Williams Meadow and also Fairfax, I mean, I think that's going to be a huge attract, because, you know,
I
I wanted my
think so,
kids to
too.
play with the Mariemont kids they knew and went to school with.
Well, and there's.
in the summer.
They want to be on the Mariemont swim team.
Oh,
Well, couldn't,
So we'll-
It's great. It's great.
I'm
You guys
glad you did that.
yeah, this is good.
I think it's going to be great. I really do. And so thanks for everyone that helped, Randy and Susan and Rob and everybody else that helped me with this. I really appreciate it. I think it's
Good call.
going to be a
All right.
good.
All right, on roll call then, Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Gelbach?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye,
All right, that report will be accepted.
thank you.
I got some people I know a million of them, they're pretty darn excited about this.
All right, Randy, it looks
That
like,
can come off. Yep.
Oh, right.
So that's,
Yeah.
if you look down on the committee reports,
First from Cincinnati.
set pool, tennis court, yeah, all those can come off.
Okay.
That contract. Got it.
All right.
the last one.
So, yes. So, hey, this is what a committee report should look like.
Yeah.
Notice the white area here.
Noted.
Your previous report.
Got a little wordy. The Health and
long as it's one
Recreation
page.
Committee met on Monday, January 16th at 5:30 PM. Present at the meeting were Health and Recreation Committee members Randy York, Susan Brown Knight, and Leah Geldbaugh, and Mayor Bill Brown. Also in attendance were Village Engineer Chris Ertl and Tax Administrator Chuck Barlow. The purpose of the committee meeting was to review the statement of qualifications that we received from Human Nature and the Kleinger's Group. The committee unanimously accepted the statement of qualifications from the Kleinger's Group and to proceed with negotiations to go under contract with the Kleinger's Group for the plans for the rehabilitation of Dogwood Park. Respectfully submitted, Randy York, Chair, Susan Brown Knight, Vice Chair, Leah Geldbaugh, Member.
All right, you've heard the report. Do I have a motion and a second to accept?
So moved.
Second?
All right, discussion? This is fairly straightforward. I think it's fairly, the next phase here is to basically open the negotiations with Kleinger's.
Correct.
And start discussing scope of work, price, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, okay.
And this will be the work that will come that you got for us.
That's a $30,000 mini grant that hopefully can go to a CPAC. That's $300,000.
That's right. So that's what you got for us this week.
Yeah, but we've got to get, I mean, we've been sitting on that. We've got to get this built out and done.
And who is paying for the study?
Well, it's going to be more than, we're getting $30,000 from Hamilton County, but we've got money in the Centennial Fund to pay the balance.
Okay, okay. All right. Any other questions, any other thoughts? Not hearing any. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Gelbach?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Rankin?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin, I don't know whether I said, sorry.
I don't even pay attention to you anymore, Bill.
Mr. York?
Aye,
And that can come off.
that can come off. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bartlett.
Okay. This is from the Finance Committee, met on Wednesday, January 11th, 2023 at 4 PM in council chambers to discuss the annual salary increases for Mariemont employees. Present at the meeting were Finance Committee members Rob Bartlett, Kelly Rankin, and Marcy Lewis. Also there were Richard Ford, Chuck Barlow, Jody Van Pelt, Allison Urig, Rick Hines, and John Scherpenberg. Salary data was collected from a number of neighboring communities of similar size to see how Mariemont salaries compare for different roles. The goal of the committee is for Mariemont's roles to be in the middle of the salary range. To be clear, the salaries that are being voted on establish the maximum pay for each role and are based on what the marketplace is paying for that role. The salary ranges are not indicative of the performance of the person in the role. The direct manager is the person who manages the individual salary based on performance using the salary ranges and the annual bonus. Attached are 2 documents which show where Mariemont's maximum salary stands relative to the other communities, as well as an attachment with the proposed increase in maximum salary for each role. For full-time and part-time employees, the Finance Committee is recommending a base increase of 3%. For those roles that were not in the middle of the salary range, adjustments were made to the percent increase to move the roles closer to the average. The salary changes in the attached were unanimously approved by the committee, except for the increases for the Service Department Superintendent and the Payroll Clerk role, where Mr. Bartlett and Mrs. Rankin voted for and Dr. Lewis voted against the slightly lower proposed increase. Respectfully submitted, Rob Bartlett, Marcy Lewis, and Kelly Rankin.
All right. You've heard the report. I need a motion and a second to accept the report.
So accepting report gives us discussion, right?
Just takes you to discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't mean we're voting to, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All right, now we can have some discussion here on this.
So can I start with the discussion on?
If you would like, please
Okay.
do.
So I have a couple of questions. My main concern is that we don't know enough, as I don't feel like I know enough as a council person to approve or not approve it, and I would like to have a table this right now and have a meeting of the whole and have all of the council people involved discussing the raises and who's getting what and just going through things and how we got to it, because I have talked to Richard Ford a couple of times and there's so much to it that's not in here, and it took multiple discussions to get through it all. And I think it would be nice if all of the members of council had that same discussion with Richard. There were a couple of things on here that I did also want to talk about that, like the crossing guard, and I know Chief Hines can probably answer this, but I'm not sure why the village is paying for the crossing guards and the school are not.
We have, police department is, the crossing guards have always been underneath the police department. Actually, when 6-7 years ago, when I sat down and negotiated the contract with the school for the school resource officer, the school wanted to have a 50-50 split on the cost for the resource officer. And I addressed the fact that we're paying for all the crossing guards, and basically by them paying 80% of the school resource officer and us paying 20, it's basically a wash at that point. So, you know, so I think with the school picking up the 80% for the school resource officer and us paying for the crossing guards, if we split the school resource, or sent the school resource officers' salaries to the school and then split 50-50, it's basically a wash. So that's how we came to the 80-20 split with the school resource officer. And so I think with those two things together, it's a fair agreement.
Okay. And then as far as the tennis pro being on here, I understand that he's a contractor and he's not an employee. So I'm kind of wondering why the village is paying that fee, and he's also making money off of the tennis lessons. And then one of the things that, what we had talked about with Richard, so I'm sorry that I bounced back to this, is that, you know, some of the stuff is, when he was talking about it, you know, when we do these pay increases, it's not just for 1 year, that he's saying that it's going to have repercussions for the next
It'll be
2, 5,
compounded,
10.
yeah.
So I think we really need to sit down as a group and really talk about, can we afford this? How are we going to pay for them? And I would feel more comfortable if we did this all together as a group and came up with it. So,
And Richard.
You mean
and
as
Richard, yes, with Richard and
we
Chuck
would do that in
Barlow.
the committee of the whole?
Yes, have Richard Ford and Chuck Barlow at the
Well,
meeting.
Richard would, yeah, he would have to be
So-
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will second your motion
Thank you.
to do that.
Well, before we, I guess now that you've kind of, I had one or two other questions I wanted to ask.
Okay, go ahead.
Rob, I'm assuming this is your bookmarking page?
Bookmarking?
Well, I mean,
Benchmarking.
you know, your
Benchmarking.
benchmarking, yeah,
Yes.
benchmarking. I mean, it seems like it's kind of incomplete. I mean, like, what about these blanks here? I mean, you know,
Well, the thing is, so this is one of the issues we have, most of the other places pay one person to do the fiscal officer role, and we're paying two people really, right now. And so I've pulled Joni off to the side, well, the payroll clerk officer off to the side. It's really though, it's the same kind of work that the fiscal officers do in Fairfax and Terrace Park and those other places. But those are two separate roles that we're paying, so I have the pay broken out separately.
yeah, but I mean, even, I guess I sort of follow that, but I mean, somehow you're able to determine that she's number 2 of 5 in that ranking.
Because of yes, compared to the fiscal officer, yes. Because again, we've had 2 different people doing it. They all have just one. So I'm comparing it to the places that are all just having one person do the work.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to make a big thing out of this here tonight, but, you know, I wasn't able to be at this meeting, you know, because obviously you had infected me with something and I was sick. I'm not saying it was on purpose.
Whoa.
I'm not saying it was on purpose.
Who infected you?
Well, all right, no.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
I think she's pointing at you.
Just a check.
Let's just table it. Let's move to table it and
So
we'll
when do you need,
readdress it.
when do we need to put this in? When do we need to get this
Well,
done?
if we don't pass it now, it's gonna need to be passed as an emergency basis then.
Is that
Because
correct?
we have until April.
April, yeah.
Yeah,
Was
it's
it-
the second pay period in April.
Okay,
Go ahead and do
yeah.
this. So the reason we were proposing this now is so we wouldn't have to do an emergency. If we delay, we'll just need to do it as emergency then.
Yeah, which I know we don't particularly care for, but we can clearly make that happen.
Sure.
I think it better that everybody be more comfortable and we have a better understanding of some of
That's
this. I think that works,
Yeah.
That's fine.
yeah. Okay.
So we get with Richard, we schedule a committee or the whole meeting.
Yeah, you do.
I do. Right.
And I'll talk to you about
But
that.
you guys want Richard there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to him earlier today and he gave me some dates, so I can touch base with you about that.
Okay.
Yeah. And Chuck, I think Chuck has to be there as well.
Chuck-
Chuck will be back on
Chuck has a little
Wednesday.
bit less of a driving issue
Yeah,
than Richard does.
True. Okay, so we did have a second, am I correct?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Mr. Bartlett,
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight,
Aye.
Ms. Gelbaugh,
Aye.
Dr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye,
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right,
table.
we'll reschedule, we'll redo it, and we'll do it that way. I think hopefully we'll have a better understanding, and that way a better outcome, which is all we're after. Did you have 2, Rob?
No.
Safety Committee is up next?
Yep.
Yes?
Okay. The Safety Committee met on Thursday, October 6, 2022, at 3 p.m. Present at the meeting were Safety Committee members Leah Geldbach, Chair, Rob Bartlett, Vice Chair, Mayor Bill Brown, Service Superintendent John Scherpenberg, Engineer Chris Ertl, residents Jeff and Marion Molsky, and Justin Walker. Multiple street safety concerns were discussed regarding Miami Avenue, Rumboldt Avenue, Hiawatha Avenue, and the intersection of Plainville Road and Wooster Pike. Concerns regarding Miami Avenue, Rumboldt Avenue, and Hiawatha Avenue are ongoing. Additionally, research is being conducted, additional research is being conducted and will be further discussed with residents in the Safety Committee. A decision was reached at the meeting to not allow a left turn from Plainville onto Wooster Pike during the hours of 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. However, after additional research, including discussions with Chief Hines, Village Engineer Chris Ertl, additional concerns with residents, it appears it would be a better solution to not allow a left turn to take place at any time. I discussed this with committee members Rob Bartlett and Randy York on December 19th, 2022. The committee recommends that no left turn signal at any time be placed at the corner of Plainville Road and Wooster Pike. Should legislation be needed, the committee recommends that the solicitor prepare said legislation. Respectfully submitted, Leah Geldbach, Chair, Rob Bartlett, Vice Chair, Randy York, Member.
All right, you've heard the report. Motion and a second to accept.
So moved.
I'll second. Why are you
Second.
looking at me?
Well, it just went quiet, I don't know.
Yeah. But I do think this deserves some conversation.
Pardon?
I would just like if you would elaborate a little bit why you went from the restricted hours to the no.
Well, so what happened, I have talked to Tom Arnold from ODOT. And when we were talking about it, because I had initially said, well, should we look into a traffic light or a traffic pole? And it is untenable because of the cost of it. It would be upwards of $200,000. We would first have to do a inspection or apply for a permit, which would cost us money.
Well, no, I think a study has to be done.
And has to be done, yeah. So there's a whole lot to it. And so then when I talked to him about the plans for doing a restricted hours, what he said was that well, I shouldn't say that. Multiple residents and people we're talking about said it's going to be confusing to have it at certain hours, and it would be better for traffic to just have it done the entire time, because people will get used to not being able to turn left at Plainfield Wooster. And so it will kind of train them to go left, like at West Street or Murray, to get to the square that way. And what they're going to do, and Chris Ertl has already talked to the representatives at Columbia Township, we're going to be putting up 3 signs. One will be in Columbia Township, probably around where the Plainville and Murray meet, where there's all the
At the six-way intersection?
The 6-way
Yeah,
intersection.
Green to Pine.
Yeah, we need more
There'll be a
signs over
sign
there.
saying no left turn moving forward, and then there'll be another no left turn sign probably around where the tennis courts are.
Right.
And then there'll be a sign on the stop sign. So,
So like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No left turn ahead.
yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Because you don't want, my concern is, depending on where you place it, you don't want people to think they can't turn left on Madisonville
right.
Road.
It'll say no left turn ahead, and I don't know exactly what the wording is, but it makes it apparent that it's not now, it's later.
You could probably say no left turn at Wooster Pike.
Yeah, it'll say something like that.
Yeah.
And then what will happen is that we are going to be paying for the signs that are in Columbia Township, and then they'll be paying for the maintenance of the signs. So we just have to buy the sign, but they have to maintain it going forward.
And are you planning to put something in the town crier too?
And we're gonna probably put stuff like for the school
this is-
again, because it's a lot of school traffic.
And
There's a
when
lot
will-
of people do the drop-off for the elementary school
Yeah.
behind the school.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be a little bit like, oh, hey.
And when will this become effective?
Well, we have to approve it, and then we'll have to order the signs once it's.
Well, we have
And
to,
I
we have to
guess-
have legislation
yeah.
though to.
Well, and the
So-
other thing is there a probationary period? Are there warnings? How does it
Can I
get
ask a really quick question?
enforced? I mean, that's a big change.
Yeah, it is big.
This is a point of clarification really quickly, because I'm not adverse to the outcome, but I do just the process. So with a public meeting, I just want to make sure we got the process right. A public meeting, October. Did we submit minutes after that meeting? Is this the first time?
This is the first time, yeah.
Okay, and then a private conversations to come to the conclusion. So to me, I'm just, again, not adverse to the outcome, but to the process by which the outcome, can we do it this way?
She's right. Yeah, you're very right. It's the first thing I thought about when I read this, not to put a.
Oh, no, it's
you know,
fine.
a crimp in your deal.
We're still learning, so.
Yeah, right.
Because you just don't know what kind of public input you would have had the issue come up at the actual meeting. So I think.
Well, it was at the actual meeting.
Was
So,
it actually?
so on December 19th, there was a,
The 6th, the actual meeting on October 6th, we did discuss it.
But was the advertisement for the committee meeting, did it say discuss no left turn?
Yes.
From Plainville to Wooster Pike?
Yes.
During specific hours only, or for all the time?
We talked about both.
Was the notice?
what was the post?
Was the notice for both?
That was just no left turn for,
Just no left turn?
yeah.
limited.
But I think to Susan's point, what got voted on and approved in the meeting.
Was that what we're voting on tonight? That's exactly right.
And yes, and then,
No, the report was
No,
for
we're-
just a limited
we're
hour.
Yeah, it's
Capture
not-
the
it's-
property.
yeah,
You capture
yeah.
what happened here.
yeah, there's nothing adverse to anything, it just,
We're voting on something that was expanded from what was agreed to
Yes.
at that original meeting.
Yes.
What we're voting on. And I think for the process purpose, I think you're right about this. And I don't think this is anything that's got to get done tomorrow. I think you might want to re-advertise the meeting altogether, because I just am curious if more people will show up, because I don't spend a lot of time here, but it seems to me like that's kind of going to be rough for a lot of people, no left turn off of Plainville on the
Well, I think
Mariemont-
you
on
just
the-
have to, if you voted on it at the meeting, though, just to you have to reconvene the meeting, which will be a public thing, which may or may not, to vote on it again.
Which is fine, because we have
Yeah.
to have another one about
I think-
Renville, Hiawatha anyway.
I think that's just what needs to happen versus, yeah.
However, on the other hand, they weren't at the committee meeting, but tonight is when we actually vote on whether or not you accept the committee report. So even though that wasn't, the add-on stuff wasn't decided at the committee meeting, I think you guys can vote on it now because you can make a motion to amend any kind of a committee report early on anyway. So essentially, Leah's making the motion, hey, I want to amend the motion that we agreed to on October 6th to include no left turn at all on Plainville. And I think then you can discuss it that way here. You follow me?
Well, yeah, I do, but it goes back, I'm thinking about your point you made earlier about public input and whether they had the
Well, I think.
because they did, she did, the meeting was announced as no left turn, and I don't think it had specific
It
time.
didn't
So we're
specific
just talking-
time, so if it went out saying no left turn on Plainville or Worcester, I think that's sufficient notice to the public
Right.
that, hey, we're gonna be talking about something that may affect your rights to turn left at any
Yeah.
point in time on that street. So I think it's okay. But
Yeah.
if it was limited to specific hours, then I'd be a little bit
Well,
concerned
at
about
the
it.
meeting, so we discussed no left turn at all. And then we did say, well, that might be a little hard for people. And at first, it was like, yeah, that makes sense. But then after talking more
Right.
and doing more research, and I did do it by myself, then it was apparent that it would be easier because it'll be, and it's just confusing to have the times limited, and then I'm afraid that it's gonna get people confused, and then they're gonna turn left, and when I talked with Chief Hines about it, he's not gonna give out tickets right away, if it's like, Saturday night at midnight and somebody turns left, but what I was trying to do is say, what is the best way that we wouldn't have to buy multiple signs, because if we try it from 7 to 9 and 3 to 6, and it doesn't work, then we're gonna have to get rid of those signs and redo more signs. So I was thinking, it's cost effective, what's the best way to kind of reroute people and train people that we're not gonna do this?
My concern is just at a public meeting, we made one statement, and then in private, we reversed it. And it was in October, so it almost looks like we didn't like, which I totally get it, I'm supportive of your process. It looks like we didn't like the outcome, and then made changes that are not transparent. So it sounds like there's another meeting, it should just go on the agenda and officially in a public setting be voted on, in my opinion.
I can tell you in abundance of caution, I do agree with you.
Yeah, do a committee meeting.
I know
Well, we have to
Rick-
do one
Rick
anyway.
says
Yeah,
it's
that's
a
just
real
put it-
About Hiawatha.
Safety
Yeah,
gap.
just put that on the agenda,
It's just-
and then
I
you check the
was not aware
box.
that it was that big of a safety.
Yeah, it is a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if we do the restricted hours versus all the time,
Yeah, I'm
I think
supportive.
we'll still have the problem. And, like if you only did it Monday through Friday, Saturday's just as much of a
Right.
problem.
Yeah.
Sunday when people are going to church, just as much of a
And
problem.
I can't ever remember those timeframes,
I
so
don't
I'm
either.
with you. Yeah, I'm totally supportive of your process. I just think just for our process, transparency, especially if
that's
you're
fine.
having a meeting.
We're getting
We'll
it.
get there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it seems like we get a lot around here. We send out these notices of the committee meetings, and 3 people show up, like at West Street, when we did West Street, 2 people showed up,
Yeah.
and everything was hunky-dory. Then all of a sudden, everybody gets wind of it, and they come in masse, trying to overturn what we've already agreed to,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know if this,
think you'll have that with
this thing is the same issue.
Yeah. People
Okay,
get
so-
annoyed waiting in line,
So we're not amending, we're just gonna table it pending another meeting.
That's fine.
Okay, so I need a motion.
I
and a s-
move we table this committee report pending a.
Do I have a
Committee
second?
meeting.
Second, yes, second.
Okay, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Ms. Gelbach.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, that's what we'll do with that.
Here we go. That's all right. You're up.
All right, Mrs. Rankin,
Yes,
looks like you're up.
I got me a report.
Do you have a copy?
I do. I'm prepared to read it. Okay, the Public Works and Service Committee met on January 10th at 3:30 PM to discuss the mowing service for 2023 and the 2023 street projects. In attendance were Committee Chairperson Kelly Rankin, Committee Member Rob Bartlett, Committee Member Randy York, Mayor Brown, Maintenance Supervisor John Scherpenberg, Village Engineer Chris Ertl joined at 4 o'clock. The first topic of discussion was to determine if any maintenance services will be outsourced for 2023. As a reminder, the Service Department purchased 2 mowers last year for $14,798. Discussion was had regarding the options of outsourcing specific areas in the village for mowing and also shortening the mowing period for such. Also discussed was the option of outsourcing painting of the street signs. Mr. Scherpenberg will obtain bids on both of these items, and the committee will reconvene to make recommendation. For the year 2023 street rehabilitation project, the committee recommends Engineer Ertl submit bid requests for the following streets: Hiawatha Avenue rehabilitation with estimated cost of $220,000. Grove Avenue rehabilitation will partner with Columbia Township. Cost is estimated $85,000. So you see the note down here, the Hiawatha cost breakdown. We have a $99,000 loan from OPWC, a $40,000 municipal road fund grant, and so the cost of the village is $81,000, an $81,000 match. And then on the Grove Avenue, the estimated cost of $85,000 will be split. The actual cost will be split 50-50 with Columbia Township. Also mentioned was paving the Old Town Municipal Lot located between the Mariemont Community Chapel and Waldorf School and the administration parking lot. The fiscal officer advised this to not be paid with street funds. The committee will make requests for the 2024 budget for an estimated cost of $91,000. The committee has requested legislation for street bids be prepared. Respectfully submitted, Kelly Rankin, Rob Bartlett, Randy York.
Okay, you've heard the report. Motion and a second to accept.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I want to make one comment quickly here. I know my presence is so strong that occasionally you think I'm there when I'm not.
Oh, you were, yeah. No, you were here.
It does
On
happen.
the 10th, I couldn't have been. That was the day after the last council. I was sick as a dog, home in bed.
Didn't
Okay.
you sit, I thought you sat there and
No,
didn't
you were
come.
here for that.
You sure?
You were sick for the next, you were sick for another meeting.
Oh, I
So
No,
the
you-
next day, maybe, I don't know.
No, you were there, Cupcake.
don't remember that. No,
Well,
I
that
think
was
my
certainly
committee meeting when you
disrespectful.
sat
I
there.
It seemed to me
I
that-
rescind my comment.
That I was, by that Tuesday, I was really sick.
Well, we can just.
Okay, look, I mean, it's not, yeah.
I'll put a question
Yeah,
mark.
put a
Go
question
on.
mark.
Mayor Brown, maybe?
May or may not have been there.
May or
Mayor
may
may
or
Question
not.
about the
I
parking
was
lot?
here in
I
spirit.
rescind my,
May
I
not have
rescind
been.
my
Come
comment
figure, I
calling you
think you were there.
Cupcake.
Yeah, see, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, I'll
about
ask
the parking
Deb,
lot?
my wife will know.
Apparently,
It's not that big of a thing.
Marcy has a question.
I'm sorry,
About the parking lot.
yes.
Okay, so that was damaged, I guess, when the church roof was being
Yes,
replaced.
in part,
To some
yes.
extent,
Is,
yes.
is insurance are helping with any of that $91,000 to repair it?
No, and I've had a couple of discussions with the roofing company, regarding, the repair of, and the condition of the lot prior to actually doing the roof work. It was in very, very bad condition.
Right.
What they did to sort of amend the lot back to a usable state, after they were finished with it, and as far as they are concerned, that is the start and the stop of all they're willing to do. I mean, they're not gonna re-blacktop something that was, 30 or 40 years old, crumbly blacktop. They scraped off the old crumbly blacktop. They laid a crusher run base down so that we could park on the lot.
So my next question is, though technically that is village property, Waldorf directly benefits and uses that lot every day. So
Yes.
what are they contributing?
We
Well-
have not had that conversation yet.
There is a discussion to be had in
Yes,
terms
there is.
of the commitment that Waldorf would be making to that lot. I mean, I know there's an agreement out there, as to percentages of the lot, and they can park on it, and they're supposed to help us clean it and all that kind of stuff. That's never been enforced. I mean, it's one of those things, kind of like with the nets at the tennis court and all that kind of stuff. It's out there on paper somewhere, but
Well, and I think we get the right parties together and
We
have
have
the
it, and we
conversation.
talked about that Kelly and Chris and maybe Leah go to see Susan Gray. I mean, our interactions with them have been terrific, and I think we have that conversation right now and say, you need to budget this for 2024, because we want to get it done. It is a municipal, it is our lot.
yes. But also, the church would benefit from it too, and I don't see why they couldn't be made part of that same discussion. They may want to come into that for, I don't know what the percentages would be, but like I said, they do utilize that lot, and why shouldn't that be? Bare minimum, you get them in the
It's
discussion.
worth the
yeah.
question. I get
Well, and
it.
especially since replacing the roof is part of what was the last nail in the coffin on that thing, it sounds like, for that parking lot.
Yeah, yeah, it was excessively hard.
Or they helped us
damaging, 'cause it was
expedite
very
the
heavy
process.
equipment, so on and so forth. But the lot was in
It was not in
an
good shape
advanced
at all.
state of decay.
Yeah.
So a certain prorating there would have to be. yeah.
So my question is, do we need to amend this report to say pending discussions with Waldorf and the church, or is that not necessary?
Well, that's not part of the recommendation, so I don't think we need to do that. If
Right, we're not gonna do it until 2024, so.
Gives us a little time to sort of work up a discussion, with
Yeah.
these guys.
Get a
Well,
fruit,
and the other-
get a fruit basket
Rob brought
together.
this up, that there's a big drainage issue with that parking
Bill,
lot
remember that?
that needs
I
to be
to
addressed. So,
No, I do.
that,
why I
to
think
me, that's the
partnering with
big
them
thing
would be
that complicates matters.
Yes, and that's something that could, especially if you're going to get into re-blacktopping and regrading or something like that, the drainage thing it's down the hill, on the one side of the school that's really a big issue there.
Well, and
Yeah.
it gives us time, I'm sorry, Randy.
Go ahead.
It gives us time to have the conversations with the appropriate parties, look at what really needs to get done, and go from there.
I think we all agree. I mean, it's unquestionably, the lot is in very, very bad condition. It's well past being repaired. So we need to institute something here to get this started. I think that's what we're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So I have,
Come out of the permanent improvement fund then, huh? Not the street fund.
Correct.
Next year.
And you need a resolution, you wanna get it passed on an emergency basis, so we can get that bid out sooner rather than later? Oh, you
Yeah, we got that right
have
here.
that with you, woo! Excellent,
Yes.
very good.
All right, so we're going to pass the report as it is, though, correct?
Yeah, I don't think we have any changes.
Okay. On roll call, Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Gelbaugh?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, we'll accept that report. And I believe that takes us, that's it on the reports, I think. Am I correct?
Can I ask quickly, just how much does the broader community use that parking lot? Is
that
it
local area,
used?
the renters use it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe the number I was told, there's approximately 20 people that park there overnight. Allowed for overnight parking for
Yeah.
residents.
Thank you.
Some people may park there, that patronize the business or two.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We're, part of the other project we're working on is painting all the signs, including, there's an entrance and exit sign, and the idea came up to add to that, this is a Mariemont municipal public lot
Yes.
to that sign, so we're looking at those options.
Okay.
And we may even designate it as free parking.
Official.
Free's a powerful word.
Free's a powerful word. Yes, sir, buddy. All right, and miscellaneous, village offices will be closed Monday, February the 20th, 2023, observation of President's Day. The annual Outstanding Citizen Award is due to Mrs. Van Pelt by March the 16th. That is kind of coming up here. Remember, I am not eligible for that. It's just sitting there. So. Just a reminder, Rob.
Curses.
Drat.
Okay.
Are any village employees?
No.
No. I didn't, I just wanted to make sure that Rod understood we couldn't.
All right, I think that takes us to, what do we have here? We have, what did I do, lose my place? We have one resolution,
Two.
Two?
Two.
two.
Okay. This is the second reading to reappoint Leah Gelbaugh as a member of the
Parks Advisory Board for the calendar years 2023 and 2024.
All right, that's the second reading. This is the discussion reading. Does anybody can show cause why Leah should not be appointed? Here's your time to speak up.
You're
I have one.
You have one?
I'm tired.
tired.
All right, we'll have the third reading next meeting. All right, last one.
To authorize the solicitation of bids for 2023 street repairs and to declare emergency.
Okay.
Need a motion and a second to
Yeah.
suspend the rules.
Let me see. Yes, we've had the first reading. You've heard the first reading. I need a motion and a second to suspend the rules and allow for the second and third reading, please.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Gelbaugh.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis. Ms. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, may we have the second reading, please?
To authorize the solicitation of bids for 2023 street repairs and to declare emergency.
All right, that's the second reading. Is there any discussion? We all know what this is for, what it's about? We're all
Yeah,
clear?
Like 5 minutes ago.
All right, may we have the third reading?
To authorize the solicitation of bids for 2023 street repairs and to declare emergency.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Ms. Gelbaugh?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Ms. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, I need a motion and a second to evoke the emergency clause.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett? Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelbaugh?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis? Mrs. Rankin? Mr. York?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that will be adopted. Was that it?
Now we have an
Got an
ordinance.
ordinance.
Oh,
Are you ready?
yeah, why isn't that on the?
It's on the back,
Oh, yeah, it's on the back of the
Is it on the back?
street.
Okay.
it's on the back of the,
This is second reading to delete section 150.18 of the Mariemont Code of Ordinances.
All right, this is the second reading. This is the discussion reading. I got to be honest and say, this is that part of the building code, Rod? That-
This is the part that
Yeah, we dealt with in other
We dealt
code
with?
sections, yeah.
Yeah.
Ed identified that this was too broad. It actually is actually inconsistent with the new ones that
Right.
just got passed too.
Okay, okay. All right, that was the second reading. We'll have
Ron, are
the,
you concerned, are you? It's fine. You don't think this leaves us any vulnerabilities? Okay. Just double checking.
Pretty innocuous deletion.
all right, like I said, we'll have the third reading next meeting. All right. Oh, yeah, there it is. I lost my place. Well, task list.
Committee items or task list? Which are we doing?
I think we're on task list.
Are we?
What did you want to be?
No, I don't, I thought it said here that it was committee report.
Oh,
Just ask if there's any updates.
Yeah. All right, does anybody have any comments that they wish to make about the task list that they want to update us on?
I do not.
You do not.
Benches?
What about him?
Well, last time you talked about, you were trying,
So-
you talked to that one woman, right?
Yeah, so we have, did I ever send it to you?
No,
I've not seen it.
I haven't
I'm
seen it, but
sorry.
I did
It's all
ask you.
good.
Too much stuff going on. So we did get a report from the company that you recommended, and she gave us and I've got it on my phone, and I'll send it to you too. So how much it would cost to get 4 for the square. Louise and I went around and looked at the majority of the benches. We didn't get to all of them because it started raining. But there are a couple of benches that we can't save them. The back's too far gone. There's probably 4 that we need to they're just gone. What I think, what we had talked about is that if we could get the 4 replaced in the square for the centennial this spring, we could go ahead and do that. I believe it was a little over 8,000 for 4 of them. The company is out of Canada. It's a really good company. It's a composite bench it's a Brazilian wood that basically you don't need to do anything to it. It will change color over time, but there's no cleaning. It's a metal frame bench, and then like I said, the slats are a Brazilian wood. They're really nice looking. So it's just a matter of whether we're gonna go ahead and go with those. I know that you would wanted your families to be done, but you wanted them on the Murray path.
I mean, if the square is fine, that's.
Is that okay?
That's fine. But-
And so the other thing that's nice about this company is a lot of the benches have, they've got names on them. And what this company can do is they'll actually make a plaque to go on the bench that we just tell them who it's named for, and they'll make a plaque and put it on it. It'll be like a little, metal plaque to go on the front or the back of it. So what I was thinking is, the other nice thing about this is if they ever go out of production, they keep the drawings for the model, so we can always reorder it if it ever goes out of production. They're about $2,100 each. I don't know how much the plaques are, but like I said, they do benches in New York, in Ontario. It's a really nice company. They're really easy to work with, and it's the guy that.
And Martin Kepke.
Yeah, Martin Kepke.
Let me ask you something. Is there a way to get, since I guess they've been in business a long time and they have a lot of benches, out there someplace, right? In the
Yeah.
field, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is there a way to get a picture of benches that, been sitting out for 10 years?
Oh, that's a great question.
She sent me one. I have it on my
Really?
phone. Yeah.
I mean, that,
Oh, that's not actually in?
no, I want one that's been put into use in a park
Yeah, she
or
sent me
wherever.
what it's gonna
that's
look
been
like
out
when-
in,
yeah.
it's been sitting out for.
Been aged.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah, she sent me a picture of an aged one. It's
Did
darker.
she tell you how old? I'm just curious.
No, she didn't tell. I can ask her.
Yeah, make sure you ask, because I
I
mean,
will.
this thing about,
Yeah,
because,
5
when we
years
bought
and
the
10
wooden
years are two
teak
different
benches,
things.
they were supposed to be, oh my God, teak, they're teak.
Well,
It'll
but,
last forever.
I mean, teak does last forever if you take care
Yeah,
of it.
you just can't sit on it, because,
Well, no,
it's
you
filthy.
can. You just have to power wash it and take
Yeah,
care of it.
right.
These, you don't have to power wash and take care of them. But I will get her
The
to
composite?
send it. But you can all go to Central Park in New York and go see one of their benches.
Road trip.
Road trip, yeah,
Woo!
I'm for
What
that.
are they made of again?
Brazilian walnut or something like
Okay, so
that.
they're actual wood.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so do you have a plan for, like a succession plan of like?
Well, what
are you
I
gonna
would
do
like
here?
to do is, we can't afford to do them all at once.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking if we did the square for the centennial, I mean, that's the ones that everyone's gonna see, they pass it the most. And then what I would like to do is, there's a couple over at, I know there's one at General Short, there's at the Overlook, there's two. And what I would like to do is take the ones, we don't need to have 64 benches redone all at once. I would like to move the ones around, get them cleaned up, move around the ones that we have.
That are
and-
serviceable still?
Yes, and replace those as we need to, so that we don't have this huge cost of benches.
Right.
And if we can move, there's one that's kind of in this weird spot over on Wooster. No one ever uses that. So move that one over to General Short Park. And then what we're gonna have to do is get a maintenance schedule with John as to when they need to have, which park is gonna get redone when. And so that by, this summer, they've all been power washed and oiled and put back in place.
So what about the ones that were paid for by private citizens, like, and are newer? Like, I'm thinking particularly of the one at the Old Town Center that was placed in 2021 for Amy Weiss by
Yeah.
her sorority sisters.
So we're not gonna do that
So I'm
one
assuming
yet.
that'd be
But
low.
see,
That has a plaque,
That one,
right?
We
that
don't need
one's
to
not
do
even
that.
one of our
But like I
benches.
said, if there's nothing,
It's
there's
not
not
it's
enough that
awful.
are, we don't, not even half of them are damaged. I don't even think a third of them are
It
damaged.
won't
What,
last 2 more years.
What, do we have a
It's really
general
good.
time span for the teak ones? I'm just saying it's a math problem, right? So if we can say, and obviously we only can control while we're elected what we can control, but say we want to replace 6 a year, and
could
then,
do something like that.
John recommends the 6, and then that's just what it is. It
Yeah.
stays in the budget and
Yeah.
updates 6 benches a year, and then it takes 10 years to get, 10.5 years to get through all of them, so we might want to do more than 6.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of like trees, you probably just need to allocate benches, updates.
Yeah.
So, and what is do they have a lifespan, these benches that we have?
I don't remember what it is. It's long.
Like 20 years?
I think it's over that.
Okay. So then, so it might be that we just make a goal over the next 5 years to replace them, and then we can reduce it down. But I think it's probably just doing
Okay.
the math problem.
Yeah, I mean, you do understand, of course, that the term schedule and John Scherpenberg are incongruous.
Oh, that was mean.
Okay.
Hey, Randy, can I ask you to expand upon something I heard you say?
But if we
You
do
said that's not even
5
one of
a year,
ours?
is that a schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a schedule?
And that's actually, I mean,
Don't talk to me, just
I'm trying to be a
go
little silly
look
here,
at
but
it.
that is a doable number.
Talk to
it's
Dan
not a six-
Polakasha.
But I think that we
6, 5,
just would
6,
do the major parks first.
Sure.
Well, and-
Just do, and
yeah.
then,
Well, I
Yeah.
think you and the Parks Board could prioritize.
yeah.
Say, here's.
Okay, we're
here's-
having,
Lay out the plan.
we've lost
There
control.
goes
I'd
Joni.
recommend it be
Okay,
Dang it.
similar,
you guys-
not as.
Okay, wait, can
complex.
I ask one more? Is John gonna put pads underneath all of these?
There are pads under them.
They're already pads?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's concrete, it's not a pad, but there's concrete, they poured a concrete foundation basically to attach the legs to. So all the legs of the benches are attached to concrete, they did a concrete, oh, sorry.
All right.
All right, I
Sorry.
think we're adjourned.
Like the
Thank you.
cows,
Your
remember
kids
how
telling
we
you to
used
get
to
home?
steal the wire pallets and make pancakes?
It's Avery, where are you, Mom?
There is that. That naming ordinance that we did, or that resolution?